The soft, gentle sounds of our 8-month-old son Leo usually brought a wave of warmth to my chest, making me feel like the luckiest man alive. Today, however, as I cradled Leo in my arms, that warmth was replaced with a strange, cold emptiness that gnawed at my insides. Everything in the room, the subtle scent of lavender, the sun filtering through the lace curtains, the faint hum of the ticking clock, felt so ordinary, so painfully normal. But beneath that surface, my world was shattering. Clara, my wife, was perched on the edge of our floral sofa, her face usually a mirror of affection and warmth. Today, her eyes were glued on Leo with an almost desperate intensity, as if her gaze could somehow erase the truth threatening to burst from inside me. She reached out, her hand trembling slightly, to stroke Leo's downy hair. Her voice, normally soft and tender, came out strained. "Look at our little boy," she cooed, her eyes glistening with an emotion that felt unfamiliar and foreboding. And yet, despite my heart pounding like a drum in my chest, I managed a forced smile. Tomorrow was supposed to be simple. A family gathering at my parents' house, normal, peaceful, safe. But beneath that surface was an anxiety I couldn't quite suppress. Gathered in the room were my parents, Clara's parents, and her younger sister Anna. The usual buzz of laughter and teasing was replaced by silence, uncomfortable and thick with unspoken tension. Everyone sensed that something was amiss, though none dared to voice it aloud. Clara shifted uncomfortably, her eyes avoiding mine. "Is everything okay, David?" she asked softly, her voice too high, as if she were trying to convince herself it was true. "You've been so quiet today." I looked down at Leo's innocent face, unaware of the storm raging inside me. He was blissfully unaware of the storm that threatened to upend the life we had built, a life I now saw was based on a fragile lie. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the secret pressing down on my lungs. "No, Clara," I said slowly, my voice steady with effort. "Everything is not okay." Careful not to shake, I handed Leo to my mother, who caught him with a worried look. Standing up with a sense of purpose, I moved to the side table where I'd placed an envelope earlier, sealed, white, carrying a weight of truth I could no longer ignore. "I got the results this morning," I said quietly, holding up the envelope. My voice was measured, yet beneath it, the tremor of anger and betrayal simmered. Clara's face paled instantly, her hand flying to her throat. Her eyes widened with a fear I recognized all too well, the kind of fear that accompanies guilt and dread. I tore open the envelope, the sound unnatural in the chilling silence. Inside was a single sheet of paper with stark black lettering, the results. I held it out, my gaze locked onto hers. As she took the paper with trembling hands, her face drained of color. Her eyes scanned the words, and I watched the blood drain from her face. Her breath hitched, her trembling fingers clutching the paper tighter. The silence in the room was deafening, all of us characters in a play we didn't realize we were part of. Her voice, barely above a whisper, broke the quiet. This can't be right." I clenched my jaw and responded coldly. "Oh, I assure you it's right. According to these results, Leo is not my son." A deafening silence fell, and the shockwave rippled through the room. Clara's mother, in a rare show of fury, put her protective arm around Leo and glared at Clara with a silent, seething rage. Clara's father looked older, exhausted by the moment. Her sister Anna stared with disdain, as if her sister's deceit had just poisoned the family's soul. The words hung in the air, heavy, accusatory, unforgiving. The marriage that once seemed invincible was crumbling at the edges. "Who is his father?" Clara's voice cracked, pleading, desperate for answers. But I had none to give. My heart, long ripped out by betrayal, was too numb to comfort her now. I simply looked at her, my eyes cold, unwavering. "Start with why you thought you could get away with this," I said, voice icy yet controlled. "And why you brought another man's child into our home, into my life, and called him ours." Clara's sobs erupted into the thick silence, shattering what was left of her fragile world. Her words were raw. I didn't mean for it to happen. I swear I didn't. But her words felt hollow, meaningless even, against the storm of my own fury. I took a step forward, voice low but deadly. "Pack your things. You're leaving, Clara." Her eyes widened with shock, tears streaming down her face. "Where am I supposed to go?" "I don't care," I said, voice devoid of warmth. "Take him with you." Leo was squirming in my mother's arms, helpless and confused. As Clara struggled with her carrier, I felt a pang, an almost regretful ache, but I pushed it aside. He wasn't my son. He could never be mine. The silence grew oppressive as Clara's family, stunned and speechless, watched her pack her belongings. Her sobs grew louder, frantic and heart-wrenching. My mother, despite her terror, gently handed Leo back to Clara, an unspoken plea for her to hold on to hope, even as I felt nothing but resolve. Finally, Clara's face was a mask of despair as she walked out the door. The sound of it closing echoed through the empty house as I stood there, haunted, my mind already spinning into the next phase of this nightmare. The hollow silence that lingered after Clara left shattered the fragile calm of what was once our home. My chest still burned from the rage and betrayal, yet beneath it simmered a cold determination I hadn't felt before. I was a man discarded by the woman I loved, by the family I trusted, and the son I had vowed to cherish. But the worst part wasn't just that Leo wasn't mine, it was the man who was. The man who had betrayed me was not some stranger, I knew him well. The days following that crushing revelation were a blur. I could barely sleep, haunted by the image of Clara cooing over Leo, calling him our baby as if the word our didn't rip through my heart like knives. Every corner of that life I'd imagined now looked like a web of lies, but I knew I had to confront the other man, the man who had stolen my life and the son I thought was mine. I tracked him down at the gym, a place we'd all visited before, a place of shared memories now tainted. I found him in the waiting room, arrogance still dripping from his smirk as if he'd won some twisted game. That smirk vanished when I appeared before him, fueled by the storm of betrayal whirling inside me. You, he sneered, but it was weak and uncertain. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I didn't say a word. Rage made my hands into fists, the fury built in me like a volcano ready to erupt. The years of pain, every sleepless night, every tear Clara shed in his arms, all poured out in one brutal moment. My fist collided with his face with a sickening thud, then another, and another. He crumpled to the floor, a bloody mess, a shell of the arrogant man he had been. It felt like justice, raw and unfiltered. But as the adrenaline subsided, the enormity of what I'd done dawned on me. I didn't want to be a monster. I didn't want to be the man who lost everything. So I did the hardest thing. I went to the police and turned myself in. The days that followed were a blur of legal proceedings and empty promises. I pled guilty to assault, accepting the consequences of my moment of rage. As I waited for my sentencing, the world outside kept spinning, unaware of the silent war that had just shattered my life. News of Clara's betrayal spread faster than wildfire. She became a pariah in our small town, ostracized by friends, humiliated before her family, and losing her job as rumors whispered through the streets. The man she'd betrayed me with lost everything too, left in ruins by broken promises and shattered dreams. I served my time quietly, the weight of my ruined life heavy on my shoulders. But when I was finally released, I made a promise, a vow to rebuild, to heal, to reclaim my life. I moved away to a new city, away from the shame and gossip, and started over. With a new job, new friends, and a new purpose, I slowly pieced myself back together. The scars remained deep and raw, but with time I learned to live with them. I met someone new, someone who didn't carry the pain of my past. Someone who helped me find love again, real love. And with that, for the first time in years, I felt hope. But even as I built a new life, the memories of Leo, of Clara's betrayal, haunted me. Would that cold word, our, ever lose its sting? Or was it a ghost that would follow me forever? The answer came when I least expected it. A letter from Anna, Clara's sister, revealing a secret that would turn everything upside down once again. Would you like me to continue with part 3 now? Part 3, The Shattering Secret. The letter arrived quietly, slipped under my door early one morning, just as the sun was beginning to spill golden light across my small apartment. The handwriting was unmistakable. Anna's, Clara's sister, the one who had witnessed everything but had kept her silence in the storm. With trembling hands, I unfolded the crisp paper. Every word was a dagger, every sentence a crack in the fragile wall I'd built around my heart. She wrote of things hidden beneath the surface, secrets Clara had kept even from me, secrets that unpacked layers of betrayal far darker than I had imagined. Anna confessed to knowing about Clara's affair far earlier than anyone else. More than that, she revealed that Clara's infidelity wasn't just a moment of weakness, but a desperate act fueled by years of hidden abuse and control by another man, my father. My mind reeled. The man I had confronted and beat, the father whose legacy I thought I had to honor, was not only the father of Leo, but also the man who had poisoned Clara's life. The man who had betrayed my mother, betrayed me, and shattered my family from within. Anna's letter described how Clara had been trapped in a nightmare, caught between loyalty and fear, between love and survival. Why she'd kept me in the dark, why she'd pretended everything was fine, was no longer a mystery but a tragedy written in silence and pain. I sat on the edge of my bed, the letter heavy in my hands, tears burning my eyes. The revelation left me raw, an emotional explosion that shattered every conviction I'd fought so hard to hold on to. The woman I had despised, the wife I'd cast out, was herself a victim. The quiet apartment suddenly felt colder, emptier, as the past caught up with me like a storm rolling in. My intent had been to reclaim my life, but now I was plunged into a fight for the truth, one that demanded justice not just for me, but for Clara too. Anna ended her letter with an urgent plea. Don't let him silence us anymore. You have the power to bring the truth to light. My hands shook. I knew what I had to do. The struggle for justice wasn't over. It was only beginning. I stood at the edge of a precipice, the weight of Anna's letter heavy in my hands. The truth it held was more than just a betrayal. It was a life-altering revelation that cut through the layers of pain and anger like a sharpened blade. Clara wasn't only a cheater, she was a survivor, a woman trapped in the cruel grasp of my own father's darkness. And Leo, our baby, was caught in that web, a living testament to a twisted family legacy. The days after I read Anna's letter were a relentless storm inside me. My world, already fractured beyond repair, was shattered again, but this time the shards carried a new urgency. It wasn't just about revenge or anger anymore. It was about justice and healing for a family broken in ways that had been hidden in silence for far too long. I reached out to Clara, the woman I had cast aside, the mother of Leo, the victim of a nightmare none of us could have imagined. She was hesitant at first, the walls of pain and resentment high around her. But after long conversations filled with tears, confessions, and years of unspoken grief, we found common ground, a fragile alliance forged by the wounds we shared. Together, we sought the truth. We gathered evidence, spoke to witnesses hidden in the shadows of our family's past, and prepared to confront the man who had destroyed us from within. The confrontation was raw and brutal. Facing my father was like staring into the abyss. He denied everything at first, but the dam broke as we presented the DNA results, the evidence from hospital records, and testimonies from those who had suffered under his hand. Leo's paternity was finally laid bare, not only the product of betrayal, but a beacon shining light on a legacy of abuse, lies, and shattered trust. That day, in the cold sterility of a courtroom, the truth was spoken aloud, echoing off the walls. Leo was my half-brother, not my son. The DNA bomb I dropped silenced everyone, breaking the chains of secrecy that had bound us for years. Despite the emotional wreckage, a strange calm settled over me, a clarity that came from finally knowing the truth and confronting the pain head-on. Clara and I, scarred but stronger, vowed to protect Leo together, not as husband and wife, but as parents united by love and the fierce determination to shield him from the darkness of our past. The family that once seemed broken beyond repair began to heal in the most unexpected ways. My parents, faced with the truth of my father's sins, began their own journey of reckoning and redemption. Clara's family, forever changed, rallied around us, creating a new foundation built on honesty and strength. Through the heartbreak and the betrayal, the lies and the shattered dreams, a glimmer of hope emerged. The past could no longer control us. The truth had set us free.